Hey, before we start, on behalf of all the team, I wanted to say thank you for tuning in. I don't think we do this often enough. We're growing fast, we're having fun, and we do value the time you spend listening to the show. There are a lot of interesting other options for you out there, and also a lot of shit programs you could be consuming instead. So thank you. We do value your support, and we are constantly pushing ourselves to deliver. All right, let's go. I feel like finding a co-host for this episode, at least to help me set the stage. That's a good reason for me to get out of my cave a little bit. Let me figure this out. Oh, I know someone.
Ditte.
Hey Ditte, it's Camille.
Hey, how are you?
Good, and you?
Great, thanks.
Are you in the mood for a circular cup of coffee?
Always.
All right, I'm on my way.
Cool, come on by.
All right, cheers.
My co-host today is called Ditte Lysgaard Vind. She's a circular economy expert, a friend of the show, and her focus is on stakeholder management and communications. I like working with circular economy because many of the experts and inspiring figures are women. And it makes our life much easier when trying to create gender balance on the show, which we dramatically failed in our climate finance series, for instance. But please know, we're trying hard.
Teletransportation machine ready to go.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that will be quicker. Can you walk the dog as well, please?
Of course.
Great. And can you ask your husband to do the dishes?
Why not?
I mean, I could ask you, but for the sake of gender balance.
As you wish.
Well, thank you guys. You're definitely better than Siri.
Indeed, Siri does not do the dishes.
I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
Let's go. In the meantime, if you haven't listened to the previous episodes of our series, Circular Economy in Practice, now is a good moment. You're listening to The Green Exchange, Chapter 3, your third chance to get practical with circular economy. Go! Hey Ditte!
Hi, come on in.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
What a surprise, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, the microphone is set up and everything.
How lucky can you get?
Was this prepared? Well, you're here to help me a little bit with setting the stage for this episode that we're producing right now. Mm-hmm. As you know, we've been talking about municipal waste streams. That's done. We have a bunch of case studies out there. We've talked about industrial symbiosis. And now I feel it's really time to start talking about consumer markets and all the changes that need to happen on supply chains and so on. But I don't know how to structure this episode. So I thought I would give you a call.
Yeah.
There's the supply chain discussion. There's the, what happens in the stores. Let's talk about designing those products and the way things need to change. Like, I suppose that if I'm a manufacturer or if I provide services of some sort, at the design stage, I need to rethink everything.
I mean, design is the absolute essential piece of circular economy, whether it be designing a particular product or a business model or whatnot. How do you actually make sure that what you're designing is able to be redone later on, reused in different ways, which means that whatever product it is, it needs to be able to be disassembled easily,
right,
and upcycled.
So designing for circularity, basically.
Yeah, and there's a million ways to do that. Another important part is designing for longevity and making sure that your products are actually able to last.
Okay, take this yogurt for instance. How can we make it more circular? Because right now, it's only 3% circular.
All those are decisions that are being made by the product or service manufacturer or company. Maybe that's a good way to structure, like dedicating a chapter to what manufacturers and companies can do, or what are going to be the changes there, and then changes around the consumption behavior, like what needs to happen from that angle.
For me, what it's all about is circular economy presenting an ideal opportunity for consumers to engage within sustainability without having to compromise on price, design, convenience, and all of that.
All right, so everything should be calibrated for the consumer to be happy, to not have to spend more money, to drastically change habits.
Exactly.
It should be a natural choice.
Yeah, it should be the natural choice, and one thing that they do have to do, however, is change habits. Going towards the product as a service business model means that consumers need to be okay with subscribing to services more than buying products, which is a challenge for consumer markets. It's a different commitment, so there's a lot of good things in it, but it takes initially, even just like signing the subscription can be a barrier if you're not really good at marketing towards the consumer and making sure that they're safe and comfortable in the process.
So if we were to dedicate a section of the episode to product as a service, that would make sense to you?
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. For me, product as a service is a super interesting business model because what it does is really completely change the incentive of the producer.
Right.
Where you used to have your business growth based on how many products you were able to sell. You are now basically creating your economic gains through how long your products are able to last, because the longer you're able to circulate them, the more money you will essentially make. And also just a simple thing as, for a business, if you're actually in contact with your consumers at that exact point when they're disposing a product or passing it on, then that's an absolutely unique marketing opportunity, and that's exactly where you want to be in contact with your consumers. So that for me is an extremely exciting change in the business model.
Great. How about sharing economy and trading products and assets? This is called making markets more liquid because you augment the number of transactions for each product or service on the market.
The sharing economy and the digital platform around it is really enabling us to have a lot more transactions around whatever products we might have, and I think there's a huge shift happening in our relationship with our products, and we are getting more and more used to passing them on and not just putting it in a cupboard.
My name is Jakob Ekonomu. I work with Cleantech Innovations. I used to listen to Green Exchange on my way to work or on my way home after work. And I think it's really great podcast, great discussions, and I've learned a lot from it.
I just want to know. I want to know. No. I want to know why. I want to know why.
How do we actually brand circular economy in a way that's positive and something that people would like to be a part of? So really, for me, what I'm looking forward to participating in the year to come is how to create the narrative around circular economy and how to really make it in a positive, engaging way.
For consumers.
For consumers, yeah, vice.
Right. So how do we communicate a narrative that is compelling enough? But I get the feeling that if I'm as a consumer, like take the sharing economy services, for instance, like when it's going to make sense financially or economically for my purchase. And if it's easy enough, thanks to the technology enablers, I got it on my smartphone, or I have access to the information, or I know where to go and buy. I feel like a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon without even really knowing that what they're doing or what they're buying is circular. But because the economic drivers and technology enablers are there, it becomes a sort of no-brainer. And what are some of your thoughts around this?
I don't think it's not one or the other. I completely agree that the reason why circular economy is really catching on and why there's a great number of businesses that are really pushing the agenda, it's because it makes sense. That's the beauty of circular economy. It makes sense from an economic perspective as well as a sustainability point of view, but it's not one or the other. because what we're doing right now is a systemic shift. So we really need to go at it from a number of ways, and there's definitely lots of things happening just based on the fact that it's common sense. But we really need to also push it from different angles. Communicating that change is quite essential in my belief. And
Okay, so we can look for case studies where businesses or organizations in general have been making a great efforts in communicating the concept and disseminating the narrative. Would you be happy if you heard a podcast episode about those points? And would you feel like...
I would be very happy for that.
Okay, great. Well, I hope we can deliver this now that you're putting on the pressure.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to work.
Me too.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for taking some time.
You're very welcome.
And we'll be in touch soon.
Cool, and thanks for coming by.
Of course, thank you. Sorry, that's not where I want to go anyway, so yeah, I'll find another way. Yeah. God, this guy was angry. Okay, so where were we? Where was I? Yeah, so Ditte helped us define how to segment the consumer market discussion. We talked about designing for circularity, product as a service, designing for longevity, reuse, repair, and upcycling, sharing schemes, and effective communication strategies. Okay, so I put the team on a hunt for practical examples for each one of those strategies, and we have Eileen and Josh on the line who are going to point us to case studies for each chapter. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Hi Camille, we're doing
G'day,
well.
Camille.
So I should mention before we start that this is not an endorsement section. These companies do not pay us money to get exposure. We should start with designing for circularity. Eileen, what have you got on this front?
Right, well, designing for circularity means real commitment from a company, right? So I found this company manufacturing carpets for residential and business sectors. And they've become the first carpet manufacturer in the EMEA to adopt cradle-to-cradle design. And they're really pushing towards the circular economy.
And their name is?
Their name is Desso Carpeting. Yeah. So on their site, they have a lot of information on their site actually about what they do and how they do it. They explain that to close the loop, you have to be able to take used goods back and recycle or reuse the materials. So for them, it means they've set up systems to collect used carpets, and they've developed also what they call a take-back technology to receive used materials and recycle them. So that's really good.
When we talk about designing for circularity, it's not only the product itself, but it's also circular supply chain, right? And
exactly.
Yeah. Great. So we'll put the link on the page, and we can give an example now maybe for designing for longevity, and that was you, Josh, working on this one.
Yeah, that's right. I found this really, really interesting fashion designer. He's called Tom Cridland, and this guy's gone out and made a sweatshirt that he's guaranteed for 30 years. So think about that for a second. You know, like one of the things about longevity in fashion in particular is to understand whether something's actually going to be in fashion still after 30 years. And I guess what Tom has done so well here is that he's managed to make something that is every day. You know, we've seen this style of jumper stay in fashion for so long, and I mean, I guess you could assume that 30 years from today that this same style is going to be relevant still.
Right.
In terms of winning over the masses to this type of fashion, I mean, I can read out some names here: that Leonardo DiCaprio, Hugh Grant, Stephen Fry, James Bond, Daniel Craig.
James Bond is wearing it?
These are people. James Bond wears it. Maybe it's bulletproof.
All right, well, that's a great one. We'll put the link as well. I want to talk about product as a service. I mean, that was a big one in my discussion with Ditte. It's a major shift. There are a lot of great case studies out there. We had to pick one. it was you, Eileen, working on this. What's your choice?
Well, my choice is actually nappies, or diapers as they're called in America. This is one of those things that's very hard to deal with, very hard to think about how to recycle them. Parents are usually very busy. They don't really have time to maybe wash reusable ones, for example. So it turns out not only is there reusable nappies and they're well designed and easy to use, but increasingly in Europe we're seeing companies cropping up that provide reusable nappy rental schemes and laundry schemes. So what they do is they rent out nappies, maybe in a creche or even to parents at home. And the nappies are collected then at the end of the day, and they're brought to a laundry place to wash them, and then brought back again in next week or the next day. So that's pretty interesting.
So I pay like a subscription as a parent, and for me the move is the same. I put it in a bag, and then someone picks it up, washes it, and then brings a bunch of nappies that are clean for the coming week.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's a really great service. It takes a lot of pressure off the parents as well.
Yeah.
And the company is called Lavanda in Italy.
Yep.
They also present education seminars to spread awareness to parents, telling them about the advantages of washable nappies compared to disposable ones. So there's health, environmental advantages to them. So that's really interesting as well.
Reuse, repair, and upcycling. A number of companies are doing great work in that direction as well. Josh, your extreme sports fiber influenced you in your choice here.
That's right. Well, I found this really fascinating company online called Bureo. I think I'm absolutely butchering the pronunciation. Bureo? What do you think? Have I got it right?
Yeah,
Bureo. So they're from Chile, and look, they've come up with this idea, Net Positiva, which is a really, really cool label for what they're doing. So they're collecting up old fishing nets, right? And these fishing nets are a huge problem in the oceans around the Pacific. And so they're grabbing these fishing nets, they're processing them, and they're actually making skateboards out of old fishing nets.
Very nice.
Wow.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, so that would be an example of upcycling, right?
Yeah, well, they're finding another use, yeah.
I mean, I guess reuse and repair of the fishing nets is an obvious one. Here, they make new products that are... There's quite some added value on a when you sell a skateboard, you don't sell it for $10. I mean, it's probably a good market as well.
That's right. Like these skateboards are going for, you can spend around, $200 for a skateboard. So being able to create this new product, upcycling from the old fishing net, one that has been used well, we're sure it's probably done its job. But then, they break down, and the fishermen usually were just cutting these adrift at sea. So they've managed to find a way to stop that from happening, whilst also creating this new product in the same process.
Great, that's a good one. Eileen, sharing schemes?
Yeah, so this one, I picked an example I think everyone is kind of aware of, which is the car sharing or ride sharing kind of thing, like Uber, that kind of thing that's out there. There's quite a lot of them. The one that I picked that stands out in Europe is BlaBlaCar.
Yes.
You've heard of it, guys?
I've used it many times.
Oui, bien sûr.
Oui. Yes, it is a French company. So they're the world's largest long-distance ride-sharing community, apparently. So what happens is drivers and passengers can connect using this service, and then they agree to travel between cities together, and they share the cost of the journey. So that's really great. And it's very popular as well. There seems to be like 25 million members across 22 countries now. So that's impressive.
So that's a really great example, which is very large scale now. And I think the car industry is really adjusting to those new companies. And can you talk about the numbers and sort of the threat to the car industry in Europe?
Apparently, according to a recent study, this could trim global vehicle sales down by 550,000 by 2021,
right,
and cost manufacturers more than $8 billion in lost revenue. So, it's a big change.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good one.
Yeah. for sure.
Last but not least, we were talking about effective communication strategies and how brands are taking their customers on board on their journey towards circular economy and are not shy communicating their differentiator. And I think, Josh, you have a good example of this.
Yeah, look, I have a really out-of-the-box example, but once again, it's in the fashion industry, which we all know the fashion industry has had a very big, dirty secret for far too long. This one is called Mud Jeans, and they are a label who basically you lease the jeans for €7.50 each month.
Right, so it's product as a service as well.
That's correct. It's product as a service, but the way that they're communicating this is so clear and easy to understand, and the options to the consumer are so great in my opinion. So basically, you get three options. You know, you get the jeans, you decide to hold on to them if you like them. So there's the very straightforward one, very much business as usual. But if you feel like changing them up or getting a new pair, you simply just return them and select the other pair that you like. You continue paying your monthly fee, but you have a completely new item to wear and to, go out and dance the night away in.
Right.
At the end of the day, you send them back, and you get a €10 voucher to use again on something else. So it's a fascinating way for people to have their wardrobe keep changing whilst not wasting any valuable materials like cottons, all of the energy that's embedded in that material. Yeah,
and when you Google them, Mud Jeans, the tagline is circular denim. So they're very upfront about it.
That's right. They're very clear, and that's what makes this kind of proposition so powerful, because if you're not clear about what's going on with this type of, wearing someone else's jeans, that's kind of weird for most people. So you have to be really clear about why you would do it and what the other benefits are to doing it, other than just the environmental. I mean, €7.50, you get to have a different pair of jeans each month if you wanted to.
Right.
So there's a different value there that isn't just environmental. It's actually a fashion value proposition too.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. I think we cannot get more practical than this with the time we have. We should do this more often.
Yeah, it was great fun.
Beautiful.
Please know that we are going to investigate those strategies even further in the coming episodes. We will explore how they apply to the textile and fashion sector. But before that, we have a surprise coming up. I got a chance to talk economics and transition with the Vice President of the European Commission, Jyrki Katainen, currently in charge of jobs, growth, investment, and competitiveness. In this interview, he's making important announcements, so make sure you don't miss out. We'll also talk to Bas Deleu, Managing Director of the World Resource Forum out of Switzerland. Before wrapping up, I want to mention that we're going to start live streaming our events on Facebook, so you can participate in the debate from your living room. So what you can do right now is open Facebook. Come on, everyone's waiting. Open Facebook, search for The Green Exchange. You'll see my grandmother with blue headphones on the banner. That's it. Click like, and we'll keep you posted from there. That's all for today. We hope you liked it. Coming back soon with more green knowledge, inspiration, and entertainment. Keep up the good work in the meantime.
Come on.